Hi, Brave Souls. Welcome back to Brave Mode Studios. It's been a while, and so we're coming back with my girl Kristen. You recognize her
Hey
from the
y'all.
Hey Girl. I know you recognize her from the personal styling playlist on the channel. So we know it's been a while, but we're coming back to just kind of revamp in a new way and talk about just some reality things about the fashion industry, our own stories, and of course, as always, still giving you some practical steps as to how you can enter the fashion industry, but also not only enter it, but also maintain a career in it.
Mhm.
So let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to be talking about our stories, our experience with entering and working in the fashion industry, and we'll have a part two talking about some practical ways you can enter the fashion industry in 2024, 2025. So let's get started, Kristen. Go ahead and briefly introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about where you are, where you're based, type of work that you do. If you have a degree, which you know you do, where you got it from, and all the things and how you're using it now.
Yay. Hey y'all. I'm so happy to be back. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Jess. My name is Christen Johnson. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I am a style savant. I have been personal styling since 2016, but I also stepped into the styling industry in 2013 as a blogger and an editorial stylist. Long story short, I did editorial styling for a little bit. It really wasn't for me. I gave it a try and I transitioned into personal styling, and I've been here ever since. I absolutely love it and I'm very passionate about it. SCB Luxury Styling is my personal styling firm where I help aspiring, sophisticated women really align their inner beauty with their outer appearance. So I really focus on helping women to really build their confidence, y'all, their personal development, really get confident in their body shapes, and really just make sure that they are walking confidently in the path that they should be taking, and showing up as the woman that they were created to be. And I do that with style. So curating capsule wardrobes, taking measurements, all the things. And it's been a long time coming to get to this point. Obviously, it's been a little over 10 years at this point, and I'm just now like figuring it out. Everybody's path looks different. I did not go to school for this. I went to A&T, the same school that Jess went to. Although we weren't there, we didn't graduate at the same time. We were there and we didn't know that we were there together for a little bit. But I studied business management, y'all. So I always knew I wanted to run my own business. I just never really knew what that looked like until I got to college. Personal styling or just styling in general was something that I was super interested in. I just didn't really know how to get started. So I was just talking to my friends, talking to people, letting them know what I wanted to do. And before I knew it, I had an internship, I had a retail job, I had another internship, and then just all of these jobs and experiences and opportunities just really came out of nowhere. And before I knew it, I was here. So I'm so thankful to still be here throughout the pandemic and all the things that have been going on in this world.
Wow.
But I know that I am called to be a stylist and to really just help women feel confident. So that's me.
That is a beautiful introduction.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. That's something about, particularly with personal styling, that I think you really have the luxury and kind of have to have a calling to do, and that is, help. Can you say it again? What you said, the how you make their inner beauty do the thing. What you say?
So I help aspiring, sophisticated women really align their inner beauty with their outer appearance.
Love it.
Thank
Love
you.
it. Because no matter how cute you are on the outside, girl
Right.
or guy, who are we
You
talking to?
can't, right. You can't look like what you've been through, y'all. You can't.
My mom always used to say, like, look how you want to feel.
That's easier said. Yeah. It's
It's
super easier said than done.
It is. It is. And I know for me, I mean, the couple years that we've had have been a lot. And so emotionally, financially, every leaf you can think of. I know. So I love to hear that that's what you're doing because it's definitely needed. And I think for people who work in the fashion industry, you probably do get people who don't understand what you do.
Yeah.
It's probably very frustrating. But when you hear this sort of description,
Hmm.
I mean, it's you really can be healing people in your process of working with clients, and so I think that's so awesome.
Thank
I think
you.
that, yes, absolutely. The fashion industry has a lot of issues as a whole. there's a lot of vanity. And so I think it's so important when to have people who are coming into the industry who are bringing a sense of intentionality
Mhm.
with a goal to honor who they're working with, whether
Yeah.
that's their client or a coworker and a crew member. You have that sort of integrity, and it's not all about you and how you look or how well you did a job, but it really is like, you're coming in with some integrity. Like it's hard to find that in the fashion industry, and I think that's where it gets muddy, and where it gets
Yeah.
stressful. So,
Agree.
got to cut some of this out because I don't remember what all I wanted to ask. um, we
Okay.
can have more of a discussion, obviously, but I want to chat about maintaining in the fashion industry right now, and I think we'll then jump into some. How should we do it? Should we talk about practical
Right,
steps and
practice.
getting into it, then talk about maintaining, or what do you want to do?
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense,
That
right?
makes
Going
sense.
order. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go ahead and jump into some practical steps about getting into the fashion
Mhm.
industry today.
Mhm.
I know my first YouTube video was how to become a stylist, and
Mhm.
that was 20. Ooh, what year is it? 2018, 19,
Maybe
2019.
2019, right before the pandemic.
Was it? It was either 2019 or 2018. I don't remember,
Mhm.
but it's been a little minute, five or
Yeah.
4 years or so. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the thing I don't know that things have drastically changed,
Mhm.
but I think we've been discussing how social media makes a
Mhm.
bit of a difference. I think not that I don't think social media makes a difference in terms of how you should try to enter the industry. I think it skews
Yeah.
the perception of how you should enter the industry. And
Yeah.
by that I mean and I see why this happens, but you have a lot of like recent college grads or high school kids who are wanting to get into the fashion industry who are thinking that they need to have a social media presence to
Mhm.
get into the fashion industry, and
Mhm.
that's not the case
Yeah.
unless you're using your social media as like a digital portfolio, which I recommend doing that just in general. You can always do that, but that's also not the requirement.
Right.
Um, I see a lot of that happening, and so I think if I'm just fashionable, like I'm cute, then I dress well, then that is the requirement, and that's not it. Or even being like a fashion blogger, that's very different from working in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
I think it definitely has a place. Like, be a fashion blogger, do the thing. It's awesome. Do it, do it, do it. Get your little brand deals, do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's not the same as being a professional in the fashion industry. So, um, there's a gamut of a plethora, a wide variety of types of roles and jobs in the fashion industry. And I've made videos on that before, but I'll make some more. I think that to kind of get a little deeper into it. But I mean, like you have a business degree. And I think that's what people forget about the fashion industry. It's a business. It
Yeah.
is just like any other company that's selling a product.
Mhm.
You are selling a product. It just happens to be clothes. You could be selling cars, you could be selling whatever. It's literally no different. So it's really about knowing how to add value to either a firm, a company, or if you are like a freelancer, you're a stylist, say, for example, you're in the business of marketing.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're doing like editorial type styling in a magazine,
Mhm.
whatever, something like that, commercial styling, that's marketing. You are one of the positions in magazines is called a market editor. I mean, not I'm saying that, but I don't know if that's why it's called that, but still, that's I may have to cut that part out because I don't know if that's why that's called that. But it's you're in the marketing department, so to speak. You are
Yeah.
marketing a product to a mass of people, and you are just making sure that whatever the actor, the model, the figure is wearing aligns with the brand that you're marketing.
Mhm. Mhm.
So as a quick example, I remember styling a Advil commercial one time,
Hmm.
and it was the most basic styling ever. I mean, we went to Kmart, I think.
Yeah.
Like
That
we
makes
weren't
sense.
going to, anything fancy. We weren't going to showrooms, nothing. We had to get, I mean, a ridiculous amount of random blue sleeveless tank top, like sleeveless t-shirts. They weren't not the tank, but like whatever comes just right here, whatever
Yeah.
that is. We had to get a bunch of those in the right blue to
Hmm.
match the Advil blue. And when I
Wow.
tell you we met with the marketing department who worked for Advil, we stood there for 45 minutes going through all these different shirts
Mm.
to get the right blue. So it's just like this is marketing. It's not always super glamorous. And so I think that's
Yeah.
where the disconnect is for people, especially whenever you only have social media as your place to really kind of get any peep into the fashion industry. So I
Hmm.
get it. Again, I do get it. So this is not like to condemn anyone for doing that. It's just to say, hey, there's more. There's more to
Yeah.
this that you may be missing if you're just looking at the fashion industry. So I mean, if you're just looking at social media. So let's talk about getting into it. What does that look like today? Some of my uh pieces of advice probably haven't changed a whole lot,
Mm.
but I'm curious about what you think from your observation. Do you have assistants or anything like that who have been asking you these sort of questions, or have you worked with anybody that's still kind of trying to enter the fashion industry right now?
Yeah, so what I didn't mention earlier is that I'm also a coach. Y'all probably already know that though at this point. So PSU, Project Style University, aspiring, not even aspiring at this point. I kind of transitioned into first generation personal stylist. So first generation stylist because that aspiring thing it can really make or break people and it's just not that deep. But the first generation I feel like is important because most of the stylists I know, they're the first people doing this. They're the first people in their family. They don't really know any other stylists who have done this before, who's they're following in the footsteps of. So I think it's important to mention the first generation piece when it comes to the coaching. And I say that to say I know for me, because I'm first generation, a lot of what I do is trial and error. So a lot of what I do is let me try that out. Let me see if it works. Oh, let me see what everybody else is doing. Okay, I don't know if I want to do that, but I'm gonna see if this works for me, type of thing. I really think it all depends on too where you're located, what problems you're solving, what you actually want to do as a stylist. There are so many different types of stylist types that you can choose from. One, and that's something that I didn't really realize until I got into the industry. And that's one of the first things I always encourage stylists to really do their research on. Like, okay, what type of stylist do you actually want to be? Because you can start in one sector and realize, just like me, that that's not that the direction you want to go into, or it's not really for you, and you can go into another. And I feel like it's scary for a lot of people to start in one sector and then have to transition because they're not really sure how to show up as anybody else, or they're not really sure how to even stop taking on the work or the referrals of the other type of styling, if that makes sense. When I transitioned into personal styling, people were still reaching out to me for editorial work. I'm like, yeah, I don't do that anymore. Like I had to turn people down. And I think because a lot of stylists kind of struggle in the beginning, or it seems like I know I did. We struggle in the beginning, so when anybody reaches out to us for work, we're ready to go, regardless of if it's what we want to do, if regardless of if it's paid the amount of money we want to get paid, we just take it because I feel like in the beginning, work is kind of what did they say? Like a dime a dozen or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, we just take whatever. But I learned quickly that doing that is a lot more work and a lot more stress on us. So, in order to avoid a lot of the things that I did in my journey, I would definitely encourage stylists to one, really figure out what type of stylist they want to be. And if they don't know, just try it. I tried editorial styling, it wasn't for me. I did the wardrobe styling, I did the e-com, like I tried a couple of different types. Some of them I liked, some of them I didn't. But I really just gravitated towards what I was more passionate about and what made me feel confident in my skills. I feel like a lot of stylists also do a lot of things that they aren't really confident in, and it makes them second guess themselves. It makes them not feel good because they're like, I'm trying to do what stylists do, but it's not hitting the way that I expect it to. And
Hmm.
it's like, it's all right. You don't got to do what everybody else is doing. Create your own, like create your own niche. And I think that's the cool thing about being a fashion creative or a stylist is like you can really just do whatever you want. It's so subjective. There is no right or wrong way to do anything. And I think that was a hard pill to swallow for me because I'm so like by the book, like I need to be doing this way and this and that way and all the things. But it's not like that over here. And in order for you to like confidently like be yourself and be the type of stylist that you were created to be, you have to let go of all those things. So it's not going to be cookie cutter. It's not going to be a straight path. Like everybody's journey is so different. So that would be the number one thing that I would just that I would say that is important for stylists to do is to really confirm their stylist type and also figure out what problem you want to solve.
Mhm.
All the stylists that are in this world are pretty much kind of doing the same type of thing. And I think that can also be a little daunting for stylists because they're like, well, I don't want to do exactly what she's doing because what, like, how am I different? But that's literally the thing. Like, you're not her. So you're already different. Like,
Already.
that's easy. But
Mhm.
also like how you see fashion, how you see clothes, how you put things together is completely different from the next person. So y'all could literally do the same thing but do it in a completely different way. So for me, I never really had competition. I don't really look at competition or my competitors. I think it's important to do that just to see like what else is out there. But you have to have a certain type of mindset when you're doing that because you can easily compare yourself. You can easily feel like you're not where you're supposed to be. And that's not the point of that. Like the point of looking at other people is to get inspired, y'all. Like follow other stylists who are doing what you want to do or going in the direction that you want to go in and follow other stylists just to be inspired, not to copy, not to do what they're doing, because what they're doing is what they're doing. It's not what you have to do.
Mhm.
So that's
That's the
another
risk of
thing I
social
would
media
say,
too.
like
That's the
really
that's the
focus
risk with social
on,
media. It's hard to
yeah,
compare yourself to what other people are doing. I know when I
exactly.
first, I love what you're saying because when I first started um just doing test shoots, I wasn't really a
Hmm.
professional stylist yet. I was working for a pant company as a I was a account manager for that company. I hated it. Like it was not creative enough. It was just I didn't mind doing the spreadsheets, I guess, and in hindsight now, I would do it and be fine with it. But at the time, I was so hungry to create and hungry to,
Yeah,
do something that had a lot more, that was, more robust, where I really could just like get my hands dirty and it wasn't that type of job.
yeah,
And so at the time, like I was like, well, I'm just gonna meet with, try to network with other photographers in my area who were kind of like me, just starting out, trying to get into the fashion industry, or just trying to get into doing very creative work and just do test shoots. And then let's do
hmm,
that. So that was me, I would get off work, go to the mall, buy a bunch of clothes with my credit card, and like, then we plan a shoot for that Saturday. And we meet up early Saturday morning, do a test shoot, and I'd go return the clothes on Saturday night at the store. Um, but that was like a cycle for me because I needed to just start. Like I needed to
yeah,
just do something. And some of those photos make me cringe. Looking at them now, I'm like, oh God. But girl, you was getting started. You was doing it
right,
though. Like
right.
you were doing it. And so there's really just the starting part,
Hmm.
and like Kristen's saying, I agree that you might start out doing one thing and then it kind of morphs into something else and you realize like you have more of a passion for doing a certain type of work, or maybe you don't want to do something more creative. Maybe you really like the business aspect of the fashion industry because
Hmm.
it's a business. So, it obviously needs people from every walk of, from every angle to be in that industry, so and
Right.
to be contributing. So maybe it's not something that really creative that you want to be doing, but it helps to just start. um
Hmm.
if it's sketching, if it's designing clothes, just sketching them out on paper, just anything that would help you kind of get it out of your system so that you can start to make it tangible. And I think
Yeah,
that that's kind of what helps you kind of start that lane, that pathway in your mind, like, okay, I'm grooving a pathway here to that's going to spark something. And then
yeah,
getting the inspiration, you can follow people, of course, who are stylists and who are doing that work because there are plenty of them out there doing the great work. But yeah, not looking at them and then because this is the struggle with social media in general.
Hmm.
Not just with obviously this is just life with social
Yeah.
media. So we do have to be careful with that. And I'm so glad that you said that. But it's also it's a way for you to just get that inspiration and be able to see like, okay, this is what I could be doing. I really like what they're doing. I want to try something in that direction and then try to, network with people that are around you
Hmm.
or even on social media. If you don't feel like you have people in your area, then that's where social media really can be a help for you. Is like, hey, can I just have if you see a stylist maybe that's, doing some work that might be interesting to you, reach out to them, email
Yeah.
them, find their email, or even now DMs are not as taboo as they used to be. I would say like
Hmm.
5, 10 years ago. So I think now it might be okay to do some DMs. I used to be like, no, nobody DM nobody, don't do it.
Yeah.
But now it may not be that bad if it's very professionally written.
Yeah.
Um, so I say that with caution, like don't be too casual because you don't know who you're speaking to. But
Right.
there's a way to honor that person and what they're doing, but also just in their time, but just say like, hey, like I would love to have a 15-minute virtual coffee chat with you.
Hmm.
I'm interested in entering the fashion industry. I'm doing X, Y, and Z right now. And I really would love to just hear your story, how you got where you are, and people love to talk about themselves, so they'll be happy
Yeah.
happy to tell you their story, I'm sure, and then give you possibly some insights as to some things you can be doing. So
Yeah.
I think networking in an intentional way that's not like an opportunistic way, but just really just trying
Hmm.
to learn from people. Some people are not going to share. There are absolute
Yeah.
gatekeepers out here. We're not one of them, but there are
Mhm.
absolute gatekeepers who don't want to share. But that's their own insecurities and they have their own reasons as to
Yeah.
why they do that. So maybe those aren't the people that you're going to network with, but they're going to be other people who will. Like you only need one. You really only need one
Yeah.
person to just give you
Yeah.
be willing to chat with you and talk with you and give you the real and maybe even look at your work. Like that's very important. Try to get when I was doing the mentorship, I would look at stylists, um people who were kind of, especially when they were just entering the industry and kind of doing test shoots. I would One of my packages was like, I'll just review your portfolio and give you some feedback if you just need somebody to with a fresh eye who's in the
Hmm.
industry to just tell you, hey, like, you know what, I see where you're going for here. This is really cool.
I love
Next
that.
time maybe you could try this. So stuff like that. Like I haven't started an internship back, but if I do, I would do it again because I did love doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was
And
it
I
was
think
a
that's
yeah,
good because I feel like because this role or this industry is the way that it is, you really don't see a lot of people sharing the behind the scenes or even the struggles. You only see the finished product. So
yeah.
people are like, oh, I want to do that. How can I do that? And no one ever knows because no one ever shares,
No one ever
which is
shares.
so weird. I
Mhm.
guess people just don't want to show like the reality of it is you sweating and running back and forth and spending money you don't have and all the things. But
Yes.
people need to see that so they can
Mhm.
know what it actually looks like because
Yes.
it's so confusing to people. They're like, oh, I can just dress people all day and like post pictures. No,
Well,
sis.
no.
I spoke with a stylist yesterday. She was actually wanting to get into the industry, and she's asking me questions, some of the same questions you're asking. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of gatekeepers, just like you said, but I'm not one of them. And I'm here to help. But just know that you have to put the work in. Like, it's not going to be super pretty and glamorous all the time. Honestly,
Most of the
that's
time.
only 20% of, of
Maybe
what my
five.
career looks like. Everything else is marketing, administrative stuff, crying, praying, and figuring it out. So that's it.
She said
There's
crying
no
is
like
one
real
of the
formula.
crying is one of the is a piece of the formula. Like that's a part of my process.
Yeah. I gotta do it
So
sometimes.
let's give the real. So what are we crying about? What are we crying about?
Crying about not having any clients, crying about not having any money to keep my business running,
Mhm.
crying about wanting to do this and it being so challenging, people not understanding the value of it, people not wanting to invest. And this is just a part of it. Like on the other end, people are saying yes, people are excited to work with me. I do have, great clients, but when I don't, that's the part where I'm crying. Like, it's like, where are the clients at? Like, it's not always going to be consistent. It's not always going to be, I mean, and it can get to that point where it is consistent, don't get me wrong, but it's not always like easy to get to that point. Like, it's an uphill battle sometimes. Your journey is definitely going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people get confused a lot of the times because they think it's supposed to be easy and that nothing is supposed to happen to them. Because that's what I used to think. Like, why is this happening? Oh my gosh, how did I get to this point? But it's like, sis, that's literally what entrepreneurship is all about. Like, the challenges are what make you successful.
Mhm.
You cannot just expect not to go through anything. A lot of the challenges that I've experienced encouraged me or kind of forced me to do the things that I probably should have been doing from the beginning, like
Mhm.
charging my worth, charging for my time, and making sure that people aren't taking advantage of me.
Mhm.
Because what we do isn't considered like traditional still, even though styling has been around since the probably, I don't even know when it started, maybe like the early 1900s.
I would say at
I don't
least
know.
at minimum, when
Yeah.
magazines became a thing, which is over 100 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Well, part of it.
I feel like the stylist term wasn't even coined until like maybe the 90s, I
Yeah,
would say,
I agree.
with Misa. So it's just like, and even that, she was still like didn't really know what I guess what to call herself. Like, I don't know. Like it was weird.
Yeah.
So it's we have to really be confident and like stand on business when it comes to what we do because there are so many people who still don't understand, they still don't get it. And it's okay. You're gonna have to explain yourself to people. You're gonna have to explain your value. Like that's just what it is. But I
Mhm.
think that's gonna make you a stronger person in the long run, to be honest. I know for me, that's what happened for me. I changed my name because I was tired of people thinking that I was just a personal stylist or just styling people. Like, no, it's a lot more than that. Like I mentioned earlier, the confidence building, personal development. And that wasn't always that way. It took me 10 years to realize that. Like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be. Oh,
Mhm.
okay, bet. Like, I like this. At first, I was trying to do what everybody else was doing, and it didn't make me feel confident at all. So find your groove and then, everything will fall into place.
It does take time. I think, I know for me, I definitely had probably a little bit of a misconception about the time it would take. I think that was
Hmm.
probably my struggle. But I didn't start out styling at all. My first job was with JC Penney and their corporate office.
Hmm.
It was a terrible experience.
Mm.
It's 2 years and 2 months of
Mm.
just, I mean, I was literally bullied by my managers. Like, I mean, like
Mm.
literally, and I wasn't the only one. But wound up getting wrongfully terminated from that job, fired, and was on unemployment for 7 months. And my mom is just like, you got to get a job. What are you gonna do? And I was like, I don't know. Um, but like God like really sustained me through that time, and that 7 month period is when I was really like, okay, I'm gonna have to switch some things up. We have to change like what we doing? We doing what like what do I need to do? Like, because I don't want to keep going through this.
Hmm.
And just, doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing versus doing what um
You were
I
called to
really
do.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
And and yeah, that's been a bit of an interesting dynamic for me over the past years. And it's been let's see, I graduated from college 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like that time flew by.
We
But
old.
the time but that's all of it came together, like all of
Yeah.
it has come together. And um I've also learned to be okay now. I would say fast forward to now, being okay with diversifying my like what I do and
Hmm.
how I show up as a creative in general.
Yeah.
And whether that's in the fashion industry or not, like been interesting to it's been interesting to see my talents morph in different ways.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
like I said earlier, like being of value to whatever whoever you're working with or working for,
Mhm.
I'm like, that's become more of my goal.
Yeah.
And how can I take what I know and what I do and what I love to do and contribute it to whatever I am doing? Because I've had
Mhm.
seasons of doing like during see, we both worked. It's so crazy. We both went to school together. For 2 years, we were on the same campus, never met. We worked for the
Mhm.
same company then. Years later, like
Yeah.
7 years later, and still never met each other. Oh,
Yes.
that's crazy. Um, and our entire relationship has been virtual. It's fine. It's fine.
Mhm.
Okay, it's okay because I love you though from over here.
Right,
Um,
right.
but when we were working for Amazon and we were doing like the digital personal styling, like I was so insecure during that time though, because I was like, this is not real styling work, you know.
I hated that job,
Oh,
to
that
be
job was,
honest.
but nobody liked it. And the program doesn't even exist anymore.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
was wondering if it was still
No, no.
around,
I have a
but
friend she still works there. And she was like, every idea you came up with, because I was like, come up with ideas like, y'all, we gotta do this. Let's try this, because this is not, whatever we're doing here is not sustainable. This program is not it. And
yeah,
she was like, everything that you suggested, they're now doing. I was like, dang, maybe I should have stayed to see it, to see it come to fruition.
they owe
Um,
you a check.
huh?
They owe you a check.
They might owe me a check because it is. I did make a video showing what they should do, so maybe I got some
Mm,
proof. Anyway, but no, like that job was not great. But at the same time, I was like, girl, you're still serving in a way, like, and I wished I had been a little bit more content at the time, not complacent, but just content with like it doesn't have to look exactly the way you think it has to look
mhm.
to mean that you're doing the work and mean that you're being successful at it. Because I've met many stylists who are doing really kind of big jobs, like red carpet or major movies or things like that, or have like celebrity clients or whatever. But they've had not just early in the game, but like throughout their entire career have had very low seasons, no
Mhm.
clients, no nothing. Then kind of in the mid tier of, okay, I have some clients, but these are like everyday women who have a $20 budget,
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, and then I've had celebrity clients, who have a very large budget or whatever. Like, so it's like you have all of it is this is the entire
yeah,
tenure of your career. And so
yeah.
that's something that for me, I was really needing to be okay with. And
Mhm.
I wish I had realized it more that, oh,
Mhm.
okay, like all of it's a process. All of it is contributing. All of it is doing the work. Even the work that I don't understand how it entirely aligns.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean, I'm not off trying to be a paralegal or something. Like, I'm it's somewhat like, in my vein, but even if I was, what is
mm,
that? How even if I'm a paralegal, this is a terrible example, but still, if I'm in a whole entirely different industry that just,
mhm.
okay, this doesn't even make any sense. But it might. There could even be a niche there that does align with the fashion industry because again, the industry is a business that needs lawyers, that needs people who understand how to code, people who whatever, like there's all
Yeah,
of it's needed in the industry. So I think there's a place for everybody. It just depends on it depends on how you approach whatever it is that you are doing. And I
yeah.
think that was my big issue trying to figure out like, okay, how can I still be a creative in this space. So,
Mhm.
and like for example, like also I've morphed into a social media manager and I didn't intentionally do that,
You
but
just
now
have
I have a
to.
couple clients that I work with
Yeah,
on a subscription basis where I create their content for them and do their posts because they're maybe running a business or whatever they're doing and it's hard for them to do the content. Okay, well, like I like doing it, so why not? And the crazy thing
yeah,
is when I started my YouTube channel, I had no experience with YouTube at the time, but it has birthed, my ability to get like project manager roles, all kinds of things that
mm,
people who are looking for people who understand social media. And I was just like, okay, so I've opened up a new door that isn't
mhm.
exactly styling, which still for my identity, it's like, okay, like I realized like I can't put my identity in there because if it shifts a bit, then who am I? So like I'm okay with now my creativity um being shared amongst other types of work and
Yeah,
and diversifying my offerings, my portfolio. in a new way. So hope that wasn't too long
Mm.
of a tangent, but
No, I think
yeah,
that's really good to mention because I feel like people don't understand that everything is a learning experience and everything is style. At least for me, everything is style. Like branding, storytelling, marketing, IT, paralegal work, like everything is styling. And when I say that, I mean styling to me is just putting the pieces together to make it make sense. And we do that with anything. So I think it's a matter of like really switching your perspective and understanding like, okay, this may not be like shopping or like putting an outfit together, but like, how can I use those same tools to work here? I feel like too, a lot of people, this is the last thing I'll add, but like when it comes to jobs, like with this whole entrepreneurship kick, I think that started, when did that start? Like 2015, I guess, or 2016? I don't
yeah,
know. But everybody was wanting to be an entrepreneur. And people didn't realize, like, okay, you can't just, I mean, you could do what you want, but I know for me, I didn't just like graduate from college and like start my business. Like it just doesn't work that way. It can for some people, but 9 times out of 10, you need more skills. So getting those skills can come from your jobs, your 9 to 5, those skills that you can't get from just running a business, like how to talk to people, how to send emails, how to
come on.
communicate like professionally,
Yep.
like customer service. I wouldn't have had, if I didn't work in retail, I wouldn't have had any of those skills. I would have still been confused. Like, how do I? It's so many people that, or so many clients that I've worked with in the past that gave me pushback and didn't fully understand the process. And I had to professionally gather them in an email and say, look, you have to trust me. This is not going to be an easy fix. But I wouldn't have known how to talk to that type of person if I didn't work at Children's Place or if I didn't work at a customer service calling center for Under Armour. Like all those jobs really molded me to be the person that I am today. Although it wasn't always fashion and cute and pretty, like figure out what those skills are that you need to be successful because that's where you're going to learn the business side of things. Like, and that's the thing too, like this is such a creative industry. People don't understand like that it's still a business at the end of the day. Like you keep saying, like I think that's something that has to be expressed consistently because
Yep.
it's so easy for people to forget, like, oh, this is a real, like, yeah, it's a real business.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only way you can sustain.
Yep.
You can't sustain if you're just like, I'm just styling people all day. Like, no, a
No,
lot of people I even have to turn down. I'm like, yeah, this is my price. This is what the investment is. I'm sorry if that's not within your budget, but that's fine. You can come back when you're ready, as opposed to just taking on any and everybody and just
yep.
like
Just
doing everything, looking crazy,
it's
you know?
no, that is facts. Because like for instance, one of my clients, she's a fiber artist. So she makes art. She's a literal artist. She makes literal art that you hang on your wall.
Hmm.
And it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. And she only has a passion for really doing a certain subset of her work. But she added on, like she does, markets. She goes into, gets accepted to go into markets and people shop her booth and
Okay.
things like that.
Yeah.
And I went with her to a market just last weekend to help film content. And she made earrings. So she has these gorgeous kind of silhouettes that she makes from wood that she carves and she weaves on the
Mm,
inside of them. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So creative. But she also made these earrings that are in the shape of these silhouettes that she has as a part of her brand. She has like 6 silhouettes that she deals with. And she's like learning to be like okay with making the earring portion because she knows like people, if they can't afford the art piece that's going to go on the wall, they'll
mm,
likely purchase the $10, $15 earring though.
mhm,
And she's like, I'm not that passionate about that portion of it. But we keep having discussion like, but it's still a business. So you still gotta have like there's not a company on the planet that doesn't have cash cows as a part of it. Like
mm,
think about, I mean, Zach Posen, maybe he's not the best example, but someone like Zach Posen who made couture, high fashion. But then you see like Zach by Zach Posen in like TJ Maxx, you see like
mm,
these cash cow levels of those brands. That's when you start to see that when you go into kind of an everyday store like a Macy's or something like that, and you see it's Zach Posen, but it's a different version of it, or it's like work shirts, it's career wear,
Yeah.
but it's still Zach Posen. That's how that company is really making its money.
Mm.
They're not making the money for real off a couture dress that's a one of a kind piece.
Yeah.
That's gonna go
Yeah.
to one person. A business can only operate if the masses, whatever that, and that doesn't mean the entire world, but that just means what can be accessible for, generally speaking, everybody.
Mm.
That's a business. That's how a business runs. So as when you're a service-based business, though, it's like, okay, well, I can't feed the masses, I can't contribute to the masses, which on
Yeah.
the side note is why it's okay that there's 100 stylists doing the same
Mm.
job, because everybody still needs the service.
Yeah.
So you're servicing someone that someone else can't service.
Mm.
But anyway, there's the business component of sometimes you're doing work that you don't absolutely love, but you, like you said, you've gained skills doing X, Y, and Z, and that's what's going to help keep your business going. And it's okay that it doesn't look the way that you really want it to look, or it's not the thing that you are super passionate about, but there's a way that you can fuel yourself by contributing to whatever you are doing with the utmost integrity and utmost creativity.
Yeah.
Like there's jobs I've had that weren't really in the styling industry, but people are like, dang, like how do you always excel
Mm.
at this? Or I can never seem to do that the way you're doing it. And it's really because I'm just being creative with it. Like I'm finding my way of like, I know how to I've grabbed this from doing styling. I've grabbed this from doing YouTube. I've grabbed this from this, and this. And it's like, it makes for, I'm hopping to another topic a little bit here, but makes for a brand.
Yeah.
And so real fast, we can do a whole nother episode on brands, but like building your brand, which I think be really important. But real quickly, your brand is not your logo. Your brand
Mhm.
is not even all the way your product offerings. If you have literal products or if you're service based, it's not those are obviously pieces of it. You have to have them. They're not your brand. Your brand is really, those are front facing things. Your brand is who you are and how you
Yeah.
work. It's how
Mhm.
you work. Because if, like my husband, he's a wedding videographer, we have a Google profile where people are leaving reviews. People are talking about how he works. We have straight 5 stars based on his customer service. People are talking about like his work is great, but like working with him, like we felt
Mm.
comfortable. We felt we could just relax and enjoy our wedding day. Like
Mm.
there's that component, like that's your brand.
Yeah.
That's your brand. When you're networking with people and you're talking to people and you like you people are getting the same you every time.
Mhm.
You're consistently a person with integrity, a person who is professional, and a person who is happy to be in that space. That is what makes people want to work with you.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be the most talented. I've met extremely talented people who are like not very nice people, who are not just, I mean, they're terrible to work with. And
Yeah.
some of them, they've kind of been able to like maybe get by, maybe on talent, but I mean, I have seen people, and like, of course I would never mention any names, anything like that, but I have met and seen people who do very grimy, dirty things to stay on
Mm.
top. I've worked in the movie production, TV production industry, and whew, it's something else. Like not everybody,
Yeah.
but like some people, I mean, you'd be surprised. Like you'd be surprised the things that people
Yeah.
do to stay where they are. So don't assume that because someone's successful, that they are doing it always the right way.
Yeah.
And don't assume that you don't have to be struggling to do it the right way. You don't have to,
Mhm.
being a person of integrity, sometimes like it feels like, okay, that means I have to turn down this job, or it means I need to say yes to this or no to that. It what's for you will come to you.
Mhm.
You don't have to scratch and scheme. You don't have to finesse. 'Cause I meet a lot of people who try to finesse all the time. It's like,
Mhm.
yo, like what's for you is for you. Do your work with integrity. Do your work with quality.
Yeah.
Do your work with creativity. Be a easy person to work with. Listen to feedback, receive the feedback, and apply it where it belongs. Throw the things away that are unnecessary. But being a person of integrity who can receive feedback, especially when it's constructive. I mean, of course, you have like
Yeah.
haters. But that's not what I'm talking about. That's not feedback. That's hateration. So I'm talking
Mhm.
about people who really like, look, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
Like, you
Constructive
know,
criticism.
constructive criticism. And
Mhm.
I've received constructive criticism that's like, you really should straighten your hair. That's not the
Mhm.
same.
Yeah.
It's not the
No.
same. That's not what I'm talking about. I have received constructive criticism like, hey, when I ask you to do such and such, you seem to have an attitude when I ask you to do it. I was like, oh dang, I wasn't. I'm just tired. I've been running around New York all day.
Mm.
I'm just a little out of breath. But I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't realize I was coming off that way. I got you. Like, what do you need next? Like being able to receive that and apply it, that's
Yeah.
your brand. That is
Yeah.
branding. And you will inevitably build a beautiful brand that people want to be a part of. People actually want to either want
Mhm.
to help you with or they want to work with. If you're just an easy person to work with, if you do your job with quality. So anyway, this is a really great discussion. We
It
should
was.
wrap it up because I think we can go on for a while.
We can. And I'm
But
not mad at it.
I want to, I guess, end with, we kind of gave, and we'll recap here. We talked about getting into the fashion industry,
Yeah.
networking. We've talked about using the job that you're doing now to incorporate creativity wherever you can,
Mhm.
gathering your skills from whatever you're doing, being content with your job
Feeling
or things that
the
you're doing.
challenges. Mhm.
Yeah, the challenges,
Mhm.
being content with things not looking exactly the way you think they should look,
Yeah.
all that stuff, being willing to learn wherever you are. These are the things that are maybe not as like take bullet points type of practical, but they are
Mhm.
the things that are absolutely going to make all the difference really in
Mhm.
how you maintain the fashion industry and how you enter it. I give very practical steps in the other videos about reaching out to stylists to network with them. All those things still very much apply. Being professional, reaching out with a sense of like humility.
Yeah.
Um, you know, no one owes anybody anything.
Mhm.
And so, work at getting those internships, work at getting, and if you're, far past like internship stage of life, say like me, you're married, have kids, or, you just need a full-time job, like you don't have internship sort of life, like you're not living with your, you're living by yourself, you got bills, you're a whole adult now, you're not in college or anything, like then you incorporate that creativity where you are. Do you have any kind of closing thoughts, Kristen, that um, our viewers can take with them from this video?
Hmm. Mhm.
Put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm trying to think. Um, I just really hope that you all took as much as you can or could have taken from this conversation. Um, Try definitely to not be offended at all. I know I would easily get offended and sometimes still do when it comes to certain things that I've experienced with people not responding to me, people not getting back to me, people not wanting to work with me, people not wanting to be my friend in the industry. And it's so easy to be offended, but just know, like, try not to take anything personal. You never know what that other person could be going through or anything like that. Not everybody's going to get back to you on after the first reach out. So don't be afraid to reach out again and follow up again. And if you feel led, definitely it's a thin line between bugging somebody versus being persistent. So try your best to lean more towards the persistence and not actually bugging people um, when it comes to reaching out and asking for help. So I think that would be the biggest thing because I know that's what I struggled with. The overarching thing that I struggled with was being offended or feeling like nobody liked me because, or even feeling alone because I didn't have community or I didn't know any other stylists. I'm the only one. I'm in a city where fashion is not like a big deal. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. So don't feel like you have to go to New York. Don't feel like you have to go to LA. Depending on what type of stylist you want to be, some of those places are great, but it's not the end all be all type of destination. Like we said earlier, your path can look different from everybody. And I think for me, I didn't really used to like being unique, but now I love it. I don't like looking like anybody else. I don't like doing what everybody else is doing. And your uniqueness is what's going to help you to stand out. And the right people are going to gravitate towards that. So,
Beautiful. Perfectly said. I have nothing to add. Well, this was a fantastic discussion. Brave souls, I hope that this was encouraging for you. I hope it was inspiring. But as always, we are not, like I said, we're not gatekeepers, we are open books. So leave comments below, ask us some questions that might help us spark more conversation. If you want more episodes like this, where we're just kind of talking about well, everything fashion industry related as professionals, we want to hear from you. If you let us know if we should keep going with this. We might do a couple more so that, just in case y'all missed this one. But yeah, let us know if there's anything that, we can clarify for you down in the comments below. Make sure you are subscribed and go follow Christen as well. Can you tell them what your YouTube channel is, your all your social media handles? And I'll put it on the screen as well.
Yay! So my Instagram is Sochi Chris. That's my personal page. That's also my YouTube as well. SOCHICCHRIS. Sochi Chris. And in my bio is going to be linked all my other pages and all the other stuff that you'll find.
Perfect. Well, it was so good to see you, Miss Kristen. Love you,
Yes.
sis. We'll talk soon. Bye. Be
See
style well.
y'all.
I gotta say my things. Style well, live well, be brave. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.